Travis didn't just like the water, he was wired for it. The way some people curl up inside music or prayer, Travis slipped into the sea. It wasn't a hobby. Hell, it wasn't even a choice. It was like something ancient lived in his bones. You knew summer had come to Harbor's Reach when Travis vanished past the buoys, farther than most would dare go. The salt burned his eyes, but he didn't care. The tides yanked at his arms and legs. When the afternoon simmered, he sprawled on the sand with some battered paperback spread across his chest, barely reading because he was listening for gulls and waves, letting them fill his head instead of letters. Then autumn rolled in with cold winds biting at the coastline, and the tourists just disappeared. Travis would walk the beach in heavy boots and wool sweaters, pockets bulging with shells and driftwood he claimed he wasn't collecting. Mornings before sunrise, the world still blue and half dreaming, he'd climb aboard his grandfather's fishing boat just to hear waves slap against the hull and feel the hush wrap around him. Locals whispered about Travis's connection to the sea. It was strange, almost supernatural, and they assumed the tragedy in his past should have cut him loose from it, but it didn't. When he was 10, a freak ice storm took his parents' car through the guardrail right above the cliffs. The car, his parents, gone into the black water, never to surface again. He remembered almost nothing, just a blur, cold, crushing pressure, silence so deep it felt like the world had ended. Then he woke up, face down on the shore, sand scraping his tongue, strangers yelling for him. For years after that, Travis wanted nothing to do with the ocean. He despised the smell, the screech of gulls, the sunlight winking off the waves. Beauty itself felt like a cruel joke, but grief is funny. It kneads itself into new shapes over time. By age 15, Travis was drawn back, ankle-deep in surf, shaking as water swept over his feet. The sea didn't apologize for what it had taken. It was huge, wild, didn't care about his feelings. That hard honesty was easier to live with than pity. That same year, his body shifted, presented as an omega, just like that. Everyone expected drama, suffering, panic, the usual heat cycle hell. His grandmother fussed with herbal teas. The local doctor pressed pamphlets into his hands. Women whispered around him. Alphas started acting, well, weird. Polite or strangely attentive, but nothing really happened. He ran a light fever, cramped up, felt some strange, low ache that confused him. There was slick, shame, sleepless nights, but none of the madness everyone had warned about. His pheromones were so subtle that most alphas missed them entirely. At 15, Travis thought something was wrong, like he'd been shortchanged. By 17, he was thanking every deity he could remember that his shifts were mild. He didn't need heavy meds. Blockers were more for show. He never missed a day, school, work, anything because of heat. Life was smooth, beta-like, but still with Omega stamped on his legal records. Lucky, people said. Atypical development, doctors wrote down. Nobody knew why. Nobody could have guessed. Back when Travis drowned, he wasn't rescued by a human hand, no fisherman, no lost boater. Instead, a boy, older, 16 maybe, swam straight through chaos, impossible speed, powerful hands. He yanked Travis away from the sinking wreckage, dragged him to the shore, and forced air back into his lungs. When he pressed his hand to Travis's neck, he marked him. Pure accident. Then he disappeared into the surf before daylight could catch him. For years, all Travis held onto were sea glass eyes and a dark tail flickering beneath the waves. Fast forward, he's 26. Home with a marine biology degree and a heap of student debt. Harbor's Reach is just as nosy as ever. Mrs. Bell still hawks veggies and collects juicy tidbits outside the store. The old guys argue whether like it's scripture, Teens sneak behind bait shops for kisses, convinced they invented romance. Travis pays rent for a small room above his grandfather's garage and lands a job at the local Marine Rescue Center, the only real employer in 40 clicks. The rescue center survives on scraps, grants, donations, lots of stubbornness. They fix up seals caught in nets, patch up injured seabirds, help dolphins stranded by accident. Once a sea turtle bit two volunteers and bolted from the holding pen. Travis fell in love with it all instantly. Salt and disinfectant, chaotic, dripping emergencies, the paperwork, the blood work, and the quiet rush when a healed creature was released back into the wild. He convinced himself this was enough. Then, late spring, on a Thursday with the sky smeared gray, a storm hit hard and out of nowhere. Harbor churned. Rain thrashed sideways. By lunch, 3 calls had come in, a flipped kayak, a wounded gull, and fishermen reporting something big tangled by the outer rocks. Travis went out with the response crew. The boat tossed between waves, sky and sea blurring, rain beating down. He was fumbling with safety lines when Mason, their senior, shouted, "There!" Something surfaced 20 yards away. Not whale, not seal, a man. He burst up, one hand gripping ragged netting, dark hair slicked to his head, massive shoulders glittering with rain. For a blink, Travis saw the lower half, a scaled tail underwater. Then a wave crashed and only a man clung to the ladder. The crew hauled him in. He was huge, even slumped, built like something out of myth. Water lingered on his skin as if drawn to him. There was a deep cut from the net, shimmering blood. And then Travis caught a scent. Sharp, salty, cedar and storm, wild, masculine, and it knocked him sideways. His body went hot and shaky. He'd never been hit so hard by an alpha, not in all his life. "Easy," the man rumbled, voice rough as rocks. His eyes met Travis's, sea glass green. The whole world narrowed. Memories spilled open, cold water, sand, breath forced back into his lungs, those eyes above him. Impossible. The stranger's face shifted, shock, disbelief, then hunger, intense and unfamiliar. Travis's heartbeat kicked up. "You," the man whispered. Travis jerked away, crashing into an equipment rack. Rain hammered the deck. Inside, something wild and ancient snapped awake. Heat rushed through him, no longer background noise, but roaring and immediate. His skin went hot, his legs trembled. His scent flooded the boat, so strong Mason cursed out loud. "What the hell?" someone snapped. Travis barely heard. The stranger inhaled, muscles locking up. "Below deck," he barked. Not at Travis, but the whole crew. The Alpha command rolled off him, powerful enough to override thought. Mason protested, but another wave sent the boat reeling. The stranger moved lightning fast, caught Travis around the waist, steady and safe. Travis gasped. The stranger's gaze dipped to Travis's neck, spotting the hidden mark, recognition blazing. "You're mine," he mumbled, awed. "You always were." That honestly should have terrified Travis. It didn't. Instead, this weird, powerful need rushed through him, grief splitting and finding its mate. They got the stranger inside. The crew debated, rattled. Travis sat, feverish, overwhelmed by the heat that hit him all at once. 10 years late. The stranger knelt, injured, calm. "My name's Kalen," he said softly. "I've been looking for you every season since the storm." Travis stared at him. The revelation crashed in. "You're not human." "No." "You marked me. I saved your life." He looked pained. "And in doing that bound us together, even though neither of us understood what it meant." Travis barked a laugh. "Wild, desperate. This is nuts." Kalen agreed, simple as breathing. Yeah, it is. Another cramp doubled Travis over. Kalen caught his hands, thumbs pressing circles into Travis's wrists, soothing, natural, almost wrong in how right it felt. You should hate this, Travis whispered. I've hated myself for it, Kalen answered. That honest sting cut more brilliantly than hollow reassurances ever could. Thunder rolled outside. Inside the rescue boat, Travis looked at the man who'd haunted him for 16 years and felt his whole life tip off center. Beneath the shock, fear, and humiliation, he only wanted to know him. Kalen, rain dripping from his hair, hunger hiding in every line, watched Travis like he'd crossed oceans to find him. Disaster was easier to expect, easier than believing in some miracle riding a storm into his life. Yet what came next was mostly awkward. Protocol meant Kalen got a nurse, stitches and all. She pretended not to notice how his skin shimmered any time water touched him. Government guidelines for non-human contact existed, buried somewhere, but nobody in town had ever needed them. After 2 panicked phone calls and a dusty fax machine spluttering to life, the official verdict was more or less, log everything. Don't spark trouble and phone back if he starts a war. Kalen didn't start a war. He just stayed. That was enough for now. And Travis once again found himself listening for the sea, marking shell or driftwood in his pockets without admitting it, wondering just what strange tide had finally brought him home. He sat there on the exam table, bare-chested and steady as stone, answering every question with this clipped, formal politeness. Travis kept to the corner, doing his best not to gawk. Sure, everyone heard about merfolk. They were in textbooks, on TV, the usual. Kids learned about interspecies laws, and sometimes you'd spot a merfolk child at school if you lived by the coast. A few families even had distant ties, some rumor of mixed blood way up the family tree. But Harbor's Reach had never seen one stroll in, bleeding, beautiful, and intent, then lay claim to someone like Travis with just his eyes. That was completely new. Once everyone else left, Travis finally asked, "What does bound mean?" Kalen's eyes snapped to him, the rest of the world fading. He always did that. Acted like Travis was the only one worth listening to. When I marked you as a kid, our instincts linked, Kalen said. Your Omega traits settled down, waiting for the bond to finish. You're saying my body hit pause for 16 years? In simple terms. That's ridiculous. Travis couldn't help himself. It's inconvenient. Kalen seemed almost amused. Travis glared, but Kalen's mouth twitched, a tiny sign he could smile. The thing was, Travis wasn't just angry. He was angry and fascinated, all in one messy package. His heat hadn't disappeared after the boat rescue. It simmered under his skin, mostly held back by the light blockers. Still, whenever Kalen walked in, Travis felt every ounce of himself. Heartbeat, scent, that embarrassing tug in his belly. Kalen could have taken advantage, but he didn't. He never invaded Travis's space, never touched him unless Travis said yes and never raised his voice to command. He just lingered nearby, quiet, steady, like the tide. Honestly, it should have made things easier. It didn't. By sunset, Harbor's Reach was buzzing. By morning, Mrs. Bell dropped off muffins for the guest. 3 teens lurked outside the rescue center, trying to get a peek at a real tale, and old Mr. Dugan asked, loud as ever, if fishmen paid taxes. Travis wanted to melt into the floor. His grandfather, Arthur Mercer, was delighted. Tall one's courting you, he commented over breakfast, just buttering toast like nothing was unusual. He isn't, Travis muttered. He brought shell pearls. He left a box and vanished. Travis gestured at the offending box on the table. Arthur just shrugged. Exactly. Inside, nestled in seagrass, were 3 pearls, soft blue, silver, pale green, each glowing faintly. "There's no note," Travis grumbled. "Traditional?" Arthur guessed. "You're making that up." "No, but I know a courting gift when I see one." Travis groaned into his coffee. That night, Travis hauled the box to Kalen's temporary boathouse, where Kalen was knee-deep in tidewater, fixing nets with swift, sure hands. The last of the sunlight hit his wet skin and broad shoulders, making him look unreal. Travis stopped, awkward, throat tight. Kalen straightened as soon as he saw him. "Is something wrong?" "Yes." Travis sounded weak, but couldn't help it. "You can't keep leaving gifts." Kalen frowned, puzzled. "Why not?" "Because it means things." "It does. I have no idea what those things are." Kalen softened, stepping closer but staying in the water. "In my people's customs, pearls in 3 colors mean interest, patience, and honest intent." Travis stared at the box. "That's absurdly romantic." "Was it wrong?" Kalen asked, brow creased. "No," Travis blurted. He hated himself for it and hated Kalen's curved mouth even more. "I'm still angry," Travis warned. "You should be. You marked me without asking." "I was 16. You were drowning. I did what I could." Pain colored Kalen's voice. That stole the heat from Travis's anger. He just believed him. The sea moved around Kalen's hips, slow and dark. Travis was suddenly aware he was breathing way too fast. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. Kalen answered right away. "To know you properly this time." Travis learned that Kalen's courtship wasn't pushy or manipulative. It was relentless in its patience. Kalen showed up at the rescue center with fresh fish for the seals, saying gifts ought to be practical. He fixed a broken railing before anyone noticed, escorted elderly neighbors home during storms, listened when Travis rambled about research. Most people tuned out when Travis got talking about migration tagging, water acidity, or stress markers. Kalen listened, really listened, like every word mattered. One evening, as they walked the shore, Kalen asked, "What if the currents warm another degree? Species shift north, breeding grounds collapse, food chains get messy." Kalen went quiet, staring at the water. "The nurseries below are already changing." "Below?" Travis asked, surprised. "There are forests under the shelf, stone gardens, caverns where children are raised. You study the sea skin. I know its bones." The words hit Travis hard. He'd spent years loving an ocean he couldn't touch, and Kalen came straight from its depths. After 2 weeks, things went sideways. Travis ran into Dean Holloway and Mark outside the market, old alphas who'd ignored him for years, but now noticed him thanks to his newly awakened Omega scent. "Travis," Dean said, blocking his way, "heard you're with the fish." "Move." "No need to be rude," Dean pushed. "You don't know what he is." "I know plenty," Travis shot back. Mark snorted. "He claimed you in public." Travis felt hot, angry, not aroused. "He did not claim me," Travis said. "He sure scented you like it." Before Travis could reply, Kalen appeared behind the delivery truck. Jeans, boots, dark sweater damp at the cuffs. Not threatening, but both men stepped back anyway. "You're blocking his path," Kalen stated, dangerously calm. Dean bristled. "This is between locals." Kalen stepped closer. "I'm trying to learn human manners. Don't make me fail today." They moved fast. Travis spun on Kalen once they were alone. "You can't threaten people." "I didn't threaten them." "You definitely did. I told them about my internal struggle." It was ridiculous, but Travis laughed anyway, sharp and helpless. Kaylin blinked, then smiled, really smiled for the first time, changing everything. Travis forgot what he'd meant to say. Then things got harder. Travis's first real heat came a month after Kaylin returned. No warning, just restless sleep, and the need crashing in like a tide, sweating, scent thick as honey, every nerve screaming for touch. He panicked, locked himself in the bathroom, called the clinic. Kaylin banged on the door minutes later. "Go away," Travis shouted. "Silence. Open the door." "No. You are in distress." "I am in heat." "Yes. That's the problem." Cramp hit again. Travis slid to the floor, cursing. When he finally opened the door, Kaylin stood at a distance, clutching a pharmacy bag, jaw tight, holding himself back. "I brought suppressants, hydration salts, and the heating pad your grandfather suggested." Travis stared, amazed. "You asked my grandfather?" He was alarmingly helpful. Even through misery, Travis laughed and then cried. "I don't know how to do this," he confessed. Kaylin's face broke with empathy. He sank down on the other side of the doorway and promised quietly, "You don't have to do anything perfectly. Just survive today. Then tomorrow." He stayed there for hours, talking if Travis needed distraction, staying quiet when silence won. He never crossed the threshold, never asked for what Travis's body barely dared offer. By dawn, the worst had passed, and Travis found Kaylin asleep outside, one hand resting close but not quite touching. Something shifted permanently inside Travis, but the sea itself became the next hurdle. Kaylin belonged to two worlds. The merfolk enclave offshore wanted him back. He had duties below, kin, political things Travis only half understood. On land, he was part of Travis's life, woven deeper every day. Neither side seemed satisfied. "You can't keep splitting yourself," Travis insisted one evening, when Kaylin returned late, bleeding from a scrape. It was nothing. It was something. There was disagreement. "With who?" "My uncle." "About?" Kaylin hesitated. "He thinks courting a land Omega who refuses to leave shore is foolish." Travis froze at that big, ugly implication. "And what did you say?" "Wisdom has never interested me." Kaylin gave that beautiful answer, but it solved nothing. Loving Kaylin meant Travis might someday have to choose between land and sea. He had no idea if either of them could survive that choice. Travis tried to be rational. He kept working, checked charts, wrangled birds, dealt with frantic researchers, and acted like his life wasn't getting rearranged by one stubborn man from the deep. It didn't really help. Every evening, Kaylin showed up with kelp samples, news of offshore pods, expertly cleaned fish, or just silent companionship on the shore. Courtship, Travis realized, wasn't about grand gestures. It was about showing up over and over. That consistency made trust possible, and trust was dangerous. It made room inside him. The town caught on quick. Harbor's Reach liked spectacle as long as it played nice. Kaylin helped fix storm damage, carried crates for the elderly, lifted a stranded jet ski off rocks like it was nothing. Suspicion faded to curiosity. Kids adored him. They followed him down the pier, peppering him with questions. "Can you breathe underwater forever?" "Yes." "Do sharks know you?" "Some." "Have you kissed a whale?" "No." "Would you?" Kaylin looked genuinely thoughtful, only if invited. The kids lost it, screaming. Travis laughed so hard he had to sit. Kaylin fit too well, if that was the truth of it. But cracks showed beneath the surface. One evening, Travis found Kaylin alone at the docks, staring toward the dark water. "You vanish whenever something's wrong," Travis called. Kaylin didn't turn right away. Do I? Yeah, that's rude. It is. Kalen finally looked back, tired. In my settlements, disputes go through council. My absence is noticed. You're an adult, they can get by. It's not my age they care about. What then? Kalen's jaw tightened. My bloodline. He rarely left sentences half finished, Travis noticed. Meaning? My mother leads one of the deep clans. My father guarded the western trench. I'm expected to serve publicly. Travis stared. Your nobility? Kalen frowned. That sounds unpleasant. It usually is. I am obligated, and I've delayed too much already. The words slapped Travis hard. Delayed. Too much. He heard what Kalen wasn't saying. Travis was now a delay. So go, Travis snapped too lightly. Attend council. Save your kingdom. There's no kingdom. You know what I mean? I know you're hurt. I'm fine. You're angry. I said I'm fine. Kalen stepped closer. You smell wounded. That isn't sane. It's true. Travis shoved past him, but Kalen caught his wrist, soft, not trapping, just stopping him. That touch sent electricity through Travis's body. Don't punish me for telling the truth, Kalen said quietly. Travis yanked free. Then don't make me feel temporary. Silence hung between them. Kalen's face twisted with something raw, too open. You are the least temporary thing I've ever known, he said. Travis couldn't answer. He walked home, shaking. They didn't speak the next day or the day after. Harbor's Reach noticed. Mrs. Bell cornered Travis at the market. What did you do? Why assume I did something? Because he came by for radishes and looked tragic. That's not my problem. It is if he starts haunting the docks. Arthur was worse. You miss him, he said over cards. I do not. You shuffled the same hand twice. That proves nothing. It proves yearning. Travis threw a card at him because, honestly, it was easier than admitting anything. The third night stretched quiet until the storm finally rolled in from the east, wild and rowdy enough to rattle the windows, but not really dangerous. Travis stared up at the ceiling in his bed, rain pounding overhead, keeping him wide awake. Something shifted in the air, a scent, sharp and wild, salt, cedar, wind so thick it felt like the ocean had crashed through the roof. All at once, Travis bolted upright, almost strangling himself in the sheets. He tried to tell himself to ignore it. That never worked. Barefoot, reckless, he stomped down the stairs and yanked the front door open. Kalen stood right there under the porch light, dripping wet, looking big as an oak, but somehow uncertain. Travis squinted at him. You can't just lurk outside, he said. I knocked, Kalen replied calmly. It's midnight. I was told midnight is the traditional hour for grand gestures. By who? Your grandfather. Betrayal stung. Travis groaned and pinched the bridge of his nose, already exhausted. Kalen held out something wrapped in cloth. Travis eyed it. What's that? A peace offering. I spent hours picking it out. Inside was a carved wave of pale stone with tiny silver threads that glimmered under the porch light. It looked expensive, meaningful, absurdly beautiful. It's from below, a threshold token, our custom. It means I'd like permission to enter your life again. Travis felt his throat close up. That's unfairly good, he whispered. The more time I spent, the worse it felt, but I had to try. Kalen's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Rain ran slick down his neck. Travis felt an insane urge to drag him inside, dry him off, pull him close, kiss him until neither of them could breathe or talk, but he was careful. You hurt my feelings, he said. Kalen stepped in, slow and deliberate. I know. You made it sound like duty was everything. Kalen looked at him, honest and raw. I spent my whole life obeying tides chosen before I was born, but when I met you, I wanted something for myself, something selfish. The confession cut deep. Travis barely managed a whisper. What if I can't follow you below? Then I'll learn shore better. And if you need the sea? I need the sea, Kalen admitted quietly. But I need you too. Travis let out a shaky sigh. You saying that makes things rough. Kalen's eyes softened. I can be cryptic if you prefer. Travis couldn't help it. He laughed, even as his heart stumbled. Kalen looked at his mouth, asking softly, May I come in? There was more to the question than just shelter. Travis stepped aside and let him in. They didn't rush. That hesitation became its own kind of battle. Travis's Omega instincts yearned for closeness, claiming and completion. But the bruised, cautious human part of him needed slow answers. Kalen understood both sides. He left a space on the couch, waiting for Travis to close it. Touches were gentle, careful, always as if asking permission. A hand over Travis's knuckles, fingers brushing hair away from his temple, a warm palm at his neck. When Travis finally kissed him, he meant it to be quick, almost wary. It wasn't. Kalen made a deep sound against his mouth, hands anchoring Travis, one at his waist, one cradling his jaw, so tender, so fierce. The kiss unfolded by degrees, heat, breath, lips, teeth. Nothing crude, everything intimate. Travis pulled away, pulse thundering. You taste like tea, Kalen murmured. You taste like weather. Kalen smiled. That's not very practical. Travis grinned. I wasn't aiming for practical. Kalen kissed him again. So things changed, not towards ease, but towards vulnerability. Now they wanted each other openly, yet the hard questions only got sharper. Kalen spent more nights on land, coming back soaked from below, hair tangled with salt water, sometimes distant, sometimes close. Travis was invited below, not as a demand, just as a possibility. There's a settlement near the shelf caves, Kalen explained one evening while cooking fish under Arthur's skeptical watch. Chambers with air, glass tunnels for land guests. Travis blinked. You have underwater guest housing? Kalen nodded. It's convenient. We like to host. Travis tried to imagine it. Stone halls glowing green, voices rippling through water, Kalen belonging there in ways Travis might never match. The thought filled him with awe, but also with fear. What if he wanted that world and it welcomed him? What if he didn't want it? What if Kalen eventually realized Travis was just a compromise, stuck to the shore? Answers came faster than Travis expected. 3 days later, Kalen didn't come home, neither at sunset nor at midnight. By dawn, Travis was pacing on the porch, nerves fried. Halfway to stealing a boat, Travis watched as a black car pulled up. 2 strangers stepped out, both tall, elegant, too fluid in their movement for humans. Merfolk. One, a woman with striking features and streaks of silver in her hair. The other, a younger man with Kalen's eyes and a colder edge. The woman looked him over, cool and unimpressed. You're the Omega, she said. Travis set his jaw. And you're rude. Her brows arched barely. The younger man almost smiled. I am Lady Nerida, Kalen's mother. My son's been detained by council. Alarm blazed through Travis. Detained! The word felt poisonous. Refusing an arranged union and naming you instead, Lady Nerida said flatly. Travis's world spun. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Come with us. My son's made you everyone's problem. Arthur, at the kitchen window with a mug of coffee, didn't miss a beat. No. Lady Nerida turned, surprised. You don't barge in, announce my grandson's been kidnapped, and expect him in your car before breakfast, Arthur said dryly. Soren, the younger mayor, blinked. Nerida held Arthur's stare, then said, That is unexpectedly reasonable. Arthur smirked. Damn right. Sit down. You can be threatening later. Travis would never forget that. Arthur, cool as ice, feeding scrambled eggs to merfolk royalty while everyone adjusted to the new reality. Soren introduced himself as Kalen's cousin. Unlike Kalen, who thrummed with storm energy, Soren was deep water still, mysterious, always watching Travis. Lady Nerida nibbled toast, regal but grave. My son's embarrassed several powerful families, she said. Good, muttered Travis. Her gaze sharpened. There was an arrangement, political union with House Varos. Marriage, Travis corrected. A strategic bond, she countered. You mean marriage? Soren nearly choked, laughing. Ignoring him, Nerida pressed on. Kalen refused before council, declared himself fated, and challenged anyone who doubted you. Travis's chest tightened. He did what? Soren supplied. He was dramatic. Nerida muttered. I was concise. He was dramatic. Travis stared down. He wanted to be furious. Kalen had locked horns with his family without warning him. But another part wanted to drag Kalen home and kiss him senseless. So what does detained mean? Arthur asked. Restricted to family grounds until tempers cool. House arrest then, Travis said. Yes. That's illegal? It's traditional. Worse, Travis grumbled. Soren almost smiled. Lady Nerida looked at Travis and leveled with him. My son won't yield, nor will some elders. If this keeps up, factions form. Let him go, Travis snapped. It's not simple, Nerida fired back. Precedent matters. If Kalen, an heir, breaks protocol for a land-bonded Omega, others follow. Alliances crumble, trade grows unstable, security falters. Finally, Travis saw the truth. He wasn't a person here. He was a disruption. Nerida's eyes softened. I didn't come because you're inconvenient. Then why? My son never fought for himself. She let out a breath. After his father died, he became dutiful, collected, capable. He carried every expectation like stone. Then he met you and finally started being unreasonable. Something burned behind Travis's eyes. Arthur buttered toast fiercely, giving them all a break. Noon brought the trip below. They drove to a hidden cove guarded by cliffs and secrecy, Arthur swearing smugglers used the path once. At the shore, what looked like a glass pavilion rose out of the rocks, glowing, sleek, half in the tide. A transit chamber, Soren explained, a sort of underwater elevator. Nerida stepped in first. Travis hesitated. If he entered, nothing would be the same. This was not a decision. It was a leap. Arthur gripped his shoulder. Bring the boy home if he's worth the fuss. Travis snorted nervously. What if I drown? Then haunt him. That helped. He stepped inside. The chamber sealed. Water surged around it. Mechanisms hummed. Colors washed over them, green, gold, shifting with the currents. They descended. Travis touched the wall. Outside, fish flashed. Kelp waved like banners. Stone arches appeared, carved from shadow. Then the city revealed itself, not sprawled, but grown into the cliffs, domes with warm amber lights, glass tunnels, coral gardens, figures moving with grace through water and air. It hurt. How beautiful it was. You built this? Travis whispered. We live with what holds us, Narita said. For the first time, Travis understood why Kalen came home sometimes with longing in his eyes. Down winding corridors they walked, walls shimmering with shells and stone. People stared, some curious, some cold, some shocked. Apparently, a human Omega arm in arm with Lady Nerida made gossip. Eventually, they stopped before a guarded chamber. Nerida strode inside, the guards moving instantly aside. Kalen spun so rapidly he nearly toppled his table. He looked rough, jaw shadowed, shirt half undone, energy crackling in his shoulders, but everything else vanished as he saw Travis. In 3 strides, Kalen crossed the room, stopping just shy of grabbing Travis outright. "You came below," he breathed. "You got arrested. I was politically inconvenienced." "You idiot," Travis said, voice cracking. Kalen laughed, rough, startled. Then Travis launched himself at him. Kalen caught him, half suffocating, arms locked tight around his back. The salt cedar scent was sharp enough to shake him. For a moment, Travis forgot they had an audience. Kalen pressed his face into Travis's hair, whispering, "I'm sorry. I wanted to come to you." "You should have warned me about your family's drama," Travis muttered. Kalen sighed. "They think I'm dramatic." "You are." "That's fair." Lady Nerida finally interrupted, dry as ever. "This is sweet. Unfortunately, the council isn't done revolting." They moved to the council chamber, a broad circle built around an open pool, representatives layered in rings, some dry, some with tails flicking in water channels. Regal, intimidating, annoying. Travis loathed them at first sight. An elder with gold rings spoke. "This is the human?" Kalen stood strong. "This is Travis Mercer. Watch your words." Mouths tightened. "There are forms for cross-species claims." Kalen shrugged. "I didn't do paperwork when I saved his life at 16. Murmurs scattered. Travis pinched his nose. "You soul married me without forms?" "It sounds bad phrased like that." "It is bad phrased like that." Another elder, female, spoke. "What does the human want?" Finally, someone asked. Travis straightened. "Stop acting like I'm just a prop." Several younger council members hid laughter. The elder nodded. "You reject him then?" Kalen froze. The question revealed the real battle, not politics, not precedent, but choice. Travis looked at the council, then at the man who had waited outside bathrooms, chosen trouble, learned what Travis liked in tea. "No." He spoke clear and loud. "I reject being an object in your negotiations." Kalen let out a breath. The room exploded in voices. Lady Nerida looked pleased. Soren grinned. Lord Varos, the gold-ringed elder, slammed his hand on stone. "This is absurd. A human Omega with no standing cannot alter binding agreements." "I didn't appear out of nowhere," Travis said. "I was invited, repeatedly." Heads turned. Kalen was visibly smug. Lord Varos grunted. "The bond is unverified." A woman in blue robes spoke quietly. "It is not." Everyone quieted. She moved slowly, an authority that didn't need volume. Pearl strands in her white hair, one eye clouded. "High Reader Thessa," Lady Nerida announced. Thessa studied Travis. "Come forward, child." The word stung, but Travis obeyed. She took his wrist, then touched the side of his neck. Warmth spread under her palm. A pulse answered in Travis from somewhere old and deep. Across the chamber, Kalen inhaled sharply and staggered. Thessa nodded. Old Mark, deep set. Delayed Omega expression from incomplete mate resonance, rare, inconvenient, and genuine. Pandemonium. Travis stumbled back to Kaylin. You felt that too? Yes? What was it? She touched the bond. That's terrifying. She sounded intimate. Stop sounding pleased about magical privacy invasions. Their hands entwined beneath the rail as the council kept arguing. Travis realized, amid the chaos, that they weren't fighting about whether he and Kaylin cared for each other. They were fighting for space between worlds, space for something new, something neither land nor sea could claim alone. Whatever storm came next, Travis and Kaylin would face it together, hearts pounding, ready for the fight that mattered most. The council kept things going until arguments turned into outright insults, and then, finally, they decided they'd had enough. The stopgap verdict. Nobody's forcing Kaylin and Travis into a union with House Veros. Travis isn't getting any kind of formal recognition yet, and for now, the two can't be separated until they've looked things over again. It felt like progress, sure, but it was also ridiculous. Kaylin got released into Lady Nerida's household, but under careful watch. Travis, meanwhile, ended up stationed next door in guest quarters, though guest felt more like subject under surveillance. When Lady Nerida explained the arrangement, Travis cut through the pleasantries. You mean supervised, he said. Lady Nerida smiled, barely. I mean accommodated. Travis rolled his eyes. You absolutely mean supervised. Her smile widened a fraction. You are learning. Lady Nerida's home, it wasn't some silly palace. It was more fortress than anything, carved with elegance, and winding stone halls that wrapped around open water gardens. Silver fish darted through channels beneath windows that looked straight into the sea. The rooms felt warm and airy, filled with woven fabrics and shells polished into lamps. Travis spent his first hour gawking at the glass, pressing his face against it like a wide-eyed kid. At one point, a ray the size of a car floated by, slow and beautiful. This place is insane, he whispered, and Kaylin, standing so close he could feel his breath, murmured, You are very charming when overwhelmed. Travis tried to save face. I'm maintaining dignity, he protested. You made a noise at the ray. It was a large ray, Travis said. Kaylin laughed softly into his hair, and the sound lit Travis up from the inside out. Their arrangement, sharing quarters but not a bed, turned out to be quietly brutal. It wasn't Kaylin's fault, really. He never pushed. That was the problem. He didn't. Every night after dinner, Kaylin walked Travis to his room, touched knuckles to knuckles, and said goodnight with a restraint that bordered on obscene. By the third night, Travis couldn't take it anymore. You can't keep doing that, he snapped. Kaylin blinked, all innocence. Escorting you safely? The calm part, Travis managed. I need more information. The composed, noble, patient part. Kaylin looked puzzled. That narrows nothing. Travis finally just grabbed his shirt and dragged him into the room. The door closed. They stared at each other, everything tense and electric. Then Kaylin's eyes darkened. Ah, he said softly. This concern. Stop being articulate, Travis groaned. As you wish, Kaylin replied, and then kissed him. This kiss wasn't cautious. It was careful before, back porch, nerves spinning. But now it was a raw hunger, kept in check only because they were both desperate to get it right. Kaylin braced Travis's waist, steady and gentle and asking without words. Travis answered by climbing up into him, shameless. Fingers in damp hair, mouth opening under Kaylin's deepening kiss. The heat was instant. Their scents thickened, heavy and familiar. Travis made a sound without meaning to, and Kaylin drank it down. When Kaylin's thumb brushed the hidden mark on the back of Travis's neck, Travis shuddered so hard he nearly toppled. Kaylin caught him before he could fall. Bed, Kaylin said, harsh and needy. Yes, Travis replied. They barely made 2 steps before someone banged on the door. "Kaylin," Soren called, far too cheerful. "Mother says if you scandalize the guest wing again, be quieter than last time." Both of them froze. Travis buried his face in his hands, and Kaylin stared at the ceiling like he wanted to murder Soren with magic. "I will drown him," Kaylin muttered. "You live underwater," Travis pointed out. "Then I'll invent a second drowning." Travis laughed so hard he nearly fell over. The tension broke, soft, messy, still wanting, but held back. They did end up tangled on the bed, just breathing, Travis with his pulse steady again as Kaylin traced light circles on his back. "I don't want our first full joining stolen by interruption and bad acoustics," Kaylin murmured. Travis almost lost himself to that ridiculous tenderness. It hit harder than desire. Day by day, everything became negotiation. Not just with the council, but within themselves. Travis got a crash course in the city, wandering dry districts for visitors, gliding through pressure-adjusted transit tunnels, poking around medical wings staffed by both humans and merfolk. The integration was more advanced than any news story ever hinted at. He saw things that scared him, too. Kids who stared at his legs, whispers behind his back, records rooms stacked with lineage charts where affection mattered less than ancestry. Kaylin came ashore with him whenever Travis needed help at the rescue center. He learned to feed orphaned seals, got soaked by angry penguins, and became a local legend after lifting a jammed transport gate with his bare hands. Somehow, Kaylin fit there too, on land, among humans. It should have been a solution, but all it did was sharpen the truth. They now belonged in 2 worlds, and neither world had any clue what to do about it. The biggest fracture came with House Varos. Lord Varos demanded an audience. Lady Nerida told them to refuse. Kaylin wanted to solve things with his fists. Travis, weirdly, was curious. Lord Varos met them in a trophy chamber lined with relics. Carved tusks, ancient navigation tools, old weapons. His daughter Mira stood beside him, tall and silver-eyed and undeniably beautiful, like a sculpture. Mira looked over Kaylin and Travis, sighed, and said, "Thank the currents. You're real." Everyone stopped. Lord Varos hissed, "Mira!" She shrugged. "What? I told you I'm not marrying him. He broods. I dislike brooding." "I do not brood," Kaylin protested. "You absolutely brood," Travis muttered. Mira gestured at Travis. "See? He knows." Lord Varos looked like he was seconds from a blood vessel bursting. Mira came up to Travis, all business. "If you get me out of this arrangement for good, I owe you a favor." Travis blinked. "You don't want the union?" "I want marine archaeology and 6 years without suitors." Travis liked her instantly. Lord Varos, not so much. The meeting spiraled from there. By the end, Mira invited Travis to see restricted ruins. Lord Varos raged about disgrace, and Kaylin was escorted out before he could stop brooding with violence. Back in the corridor, Travis laughed until he cried. Kaylin sulked. "You encouraged her." Travis grinned. "She was wonderful. She insulted me. She was accurate. You are a terrible mate." Travis kissed him until Kaylin forgot why he was annoyed. That night, laughter spent, they lay together, fully clothed. Kaylin traced lines over Travis's wrist. "What if recognition never comes?" Travis asked quietly. "Then I choose you anyway." "What if I never want to live below full-time? Then we build by the shore." "What if I do?" Kaylin paused, then smiled. "Then I brag that you preferred my world?" Travis rolled onto his side. "What if someday you resent what you gave up?" Kaylin got serious, almost sad. "I haven't given up anything that mattered more." He touched Travis's chest, gentle and sure. "I just learned there are some things worth choosing for myself." Travis kissed him, slow and deep. Outside, lanternfish drifted like fragments of stars. Inside, their future was uncertain, but it didn't feel threatening anymore. It felt like something they could build together. Recognition never came quickly. Travis found out that delay was just Power's favorite tactic for hoping a problem wears itself out and goes away. He and Kaylin didn't wear out. They organized. Travis came back to Harbor's Reach after 2 weeks below, notebooks crammed with observations, 3 new grudges, and one undeniable certainty. He was in love. Not just infatuated, not confused by the bond, actual love, with all its humiliating clarity. He knew it because he missed Kaylin most in the little moments, seeing a weird fish and wanting to tell him, hearing the waves at night and expecting his shadow at the window, making tea for 2 out of habit. Kaylin showed up 3 days later under the flimsy excuse of helping with coastal survey work. Nobody believed him, least of all Arthur. So the giant fish prince moved in then, Arthur said as Kaylin hauled 2 trunks upstairs. I am not a prince, Kaylin protested. Arthur winked at Travis. He says that now. Their life together started slow. Little things. A toothbrush beside Travis's, boots too big for anybody else by the door, the scent of salt and cedar settling into furniture until the place felt empty without it. Kaylin slept differently, always running warm, breathing steady. By morning, he drifted closer every time, arm over Travis's waist, hand on his hip, ankles tangled. The first time Travis woke up tucked into Kaylin's chest, the feeling hit so hard it scared him. Happiness had always felt temporary. Now it was breathing beside him, snoring gently. Of course, he told no one. Arthur figured it out before Travis said anything. You've got soft eyes, Arthur declared over breakfast. Travis scowled. I hate you. Love you too, Arthur replied. When they finally joined fully, it wasn't fireworks. It wasn't dramatic. It was a rainy Sunday after grocery shopping. They unpacked vegetables. Kaylin took milk labels seriously. Why is this milk made from almonds? He asked, suspicious. Because people are weird, Travis answered. That's not milk. Correct. This culture tolerates chaos. Travis laughed, and that laugh sparked something dangerous. Kaylin crossed the kitchen, backed him against the counter, and kissed him until words didn't matter. Rain tapped the windows. Carrots toppled off the counter unnoticed. They moved slow, tentative, tender, laughing nervously, trying to do everything right because it mattered so much. They learned each other, hands, mouths, bodies. When they finally made love, it was emotional, not wild, just deep relief and trust. Travis started crying, embarrassing and unexpected. Kaylin kissed tears from his eyes and hugged him tighter. Was I terrible? Kaylin asked, instantly worried. Travis laughed into Kaylin's shoulder. No, idiot. Then why are you leaking? Kaylin said. I'm happy, Travis admitted. Kaylin stilled and his voice broke. That seems contagious. Afterwards, the bond changed. Nothing dramatic, no magic, no explosions. It was quieter. Travis could sense Kaylin's moods and shades, restlessness, calm, flashes of protectiveness, and rare sadness. Kaylin, for his part, could tell when Travis was anxious before Travis himself knew it. You're spiraling, Kaylin said one evening as Travis glared at Grant spreadsheets. I'm budgeting, Travis insisted. You smell like panic. I smell like printer ink. You smell like panic wrapped in ink. Kaylin was infuriating. He was right. Then came trouble from above. The Capitol sent a government liaison, sleek shoes, practiced smile, and zero sincerity. Department of Interspecies Affairs wanted a meeting. Apparently, Kaylin's land presence and Travis's connection had gotten attention. Miss Hargrove arrived at the rescue center, all polished manners. We're very interested in strengthening cooperative relations, she said. No, Travis answered instantly. She blinked. I beg your pardon? That sentence means you want something vague and nasty, Travis continued. Kaylin looked quietly proud. Ms. Hargrove persisted. Research partnerships, cultural exchange, selective habitat mapping. Selective theft, Kaylin replied, soft but sharp. Her smile pinched. These waters are under federal jurisdiction. These waters are alive, Kaylin said. Jurisdiction is a surface habit. The meeting ended badly, and Mason later declared it the most fun he'd had in months. But the message was clear. Build something unusual, and somebody with power will show up wanting a share. Mira Varos showed up next. By ferry, 3 trunks, 6 books, 0 warning. I require asylum from my father's matchmaking, she announced to Arthur right on the porch. Arthur took one look and nodded. Spare room for 3 nights. Perfect, Mira replied, storming inside. Travis tried to object. You can't just adopt nobles, Arthur shrugged. I like decisive women. Mira was impossible not to like. Brilliant, blunt, enamored with ancient ruins and cheap diner pie, she delighted in tormenting Kaylin. You still brood, she teased over dinner. I am eating soup, Kaylin retorted. Broodingly, Mira replied. Her presence caused scandal everywhere, which, for her, meant victory. More importantly, she brought news. The council was splitting. Younger clans wanted to recognize mixed bonds and more land cooperation, but older ones stuck to tradition. Lady Nerida was maneuvering. Lord Varos was plotting. Soren was apparently being unhelpfully charming in strategic locations. Travis frowned at that. That sounds vague. It is, Mira answered. He thrives in vagueness. Winter crashed in. Storms battered the coast. Ferries stopped running. The sea turned iron gray. Kaylin needed long swims, deep, cold water that no bath could replace. Travis struggled more than he expected. He knew, intellectually, that Kaylin needed it. Emotionally, waking alone reawakened old fears. One morning, after Kaylin returned, dripping to the kitchen, Travis snapped. You're angry, Kaylin observed. No. You're polishing a spoon with violence. I'm cleaning. Travis. The spoon clanged into the sink. I know you need it, okay? But every time you disappear before morning, it feels like waiting to be left. Kaylin's face changed. He crossed to Travis, careful despite being wet and cold. You think I leave because I want to be gone? He asked quietly. I've lost people to the sea before. That shut everything down. Kaylin held him close, murmuring, I leave for breath, not distance. Travis shook once. I hate needing reassurance. Kaylin smiled, tired. Then we're well matched. I hate giving it verbally. That earned a wet laugh. They made new rules. No disappearing without a note. No swallowing fear until it turned sharp. No pretending love erases old grief. It helped. Spring came back, lighter and softer. With it, impossible news. The council had voted. Not unanimous, not graceful, but enough. Their bond would be recognized under both Mer and human interspecies law. Mixed households could register residency across borders. Any future children would hold dual status. Mira reported that Lord Varos looked like someone fed him a lemon hole. Lady Nerida sent one elegant letter. Try not to waste the trouble we made. Arthur cried and blamed onions. Travis laughed until he cried too. Kaylin simply held the document and looked at Travis with unguarded relief. It's done, he said. Travis stepped into his arms. No. Now it starts. They built a house near the shore, not on land, not underwater, but right between. anchored into the cliffs with rooms facing the sea, upper chambers for sunlight, lower ones accessed through tunnels below. A house with a kitchen full of sky and a hall full of drifting fish. It took 2 years, 3 contractors, 1 engineer meltdown, and endless debates over shelving. They loved it fiercely. Travis expanded his rescue work into a rehabilitation center for marine life and interspecies medicine. Kalen took on coastal habitat protection, coordinated emergency routes. They fought, of course, about schedules, about risks, about Kalen bringing home broken animals without warning. "Why is there an octopus in my sink?" Travis would demand. "He's recovering," Kalen replied. "He's stealing cutlery. He's intelligent. He's criminal." They argued loud and made up well. Family dinners became legend, Arthur and Lady Nerida trading affectionate barbs, Mira coming and going like weather, Soren flirting with half the harbor and denying everything. In their 4th year, one quiet summer, twins arrived, 1 boy, 1 girl, both beautiful, both furious. One had Travis's eyes and a faint shimmer to the skin. The other had Kalen's deep green gaze, and her cry could shake seagulls from the roof. Travis held them skin to skin and sobbed without shame. Kalen wept openly beside him. "We made people," Travis whispered, bewildered. "We were reckless," Kalen replied, kissing him gently. Their children grew up between tidal pools and storybooks, learning 2 languages, 3 sets of manners, and how to swim before they could truly walk. Some evenings, Travis would stand on the deck with a child on each hip while Kalen surfaced laughing below and the sun poured gold across the water. Those moments, Travis would think of the boy who drowned, of the life he believed had ended in cold silence. How strange, really, that the sea had taken so much from him, but given time, she'd given back far more.